Hello. Welcome to Special Olympics' first ever Welcome Week event. My name is Christine Sachet and I am the owner of Roseland Health and Fitness in beautiful Burlington, Ontario. I will be your instructor for the Yoga Challenge session. Now, before we begin, please note that any needed accessibilities, accommodations, any supports are absolutely welcome, so please only go so far as you feel comfortable. So if you guys are ready to get started, I want you to find yourself a space on the floor. Make sure you've got about 6 feet from anybody that's around you. And if you're comfortable with it, you can take off your shoes, maybe you can take off your socks, that's up to you, whatever you feel comfortable with. Now, what we're going to do is we are going to start our practice we're going to be sitting on the floor in a cross-legged position. One of the things about yoga is that it always starts with a breathing practice, or almost always. And why we start with breathing is that we want to make sure that you feel relaxed before you start your session. And breathing, deep, slow breathing, can be really relaxing, okay? So what I want you to do is I want you to come sitting in a comfortable cross-legged position, and then I want you to sit really tall, okay? So from the base of the spine all the way up to the crown of the head, I want you to imagine that you are growing and you are getting taller. You're gonna have your hands, palms facing up on your laps, and if you want to, you could connect your index finger and your thumb. Just makes you look more like a yogi, right? So we're sitting tall, and now I want you to close your eyes. You're gonna breathe in and out through your nose. So as you inhale, the breath moves in, and as you exhale, the breath moves out. And I want you to breathe really slowly. And as you're inhaling, I want you to imagine your belly and then in your rib cage area, I want you to imagine them inflating like balloons. So they're getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And then as you exhale, just imagine those balloons deflating, but don't lose your posture, don't slouch, stay sitting tall. So again, we're inhaling, we're inflating the lungs, we're sitting tall. And as we're exhaling, we're slowly deflating, the ribs are falling, but you're still sitting tall. So I want you to continue doing this at your own pace. Just take a few more inhales and a few more exhales. Now, do you feel your body and hopefully your mind relaxing a little bit? Each exhale, you should feel a tiny bit more relaxed. Good job. All right, you're going to slowly open your eyes. You can take your hands off the knees. You see we've got a couple furry friends joining us today. There's my cat Franklin in the background, and you saw my dog Poe a second ago. So they may join us for some of this yoga. Okay, so now we're on our hands and knees. So we call this a tabletop position. So you can imagine tabletop, right? We're flat. And so don't let your belly drop to the ground, and don't arch it up towards the ceiling. We're going to come into a tabletop, and so your back is nice and flat. You're going to take your hands and you're going to spread them wide, and you're going to try to push your hands into your mat. Okay? And so now we're going to start with just what we call spinal waves. On your exhale, you're going to arch your back, look to your belly button. And as you inhale, you're going to let your belly drop to the ground, and you're going to look forward. Again, exhaling, arch your back. And as you inhale, we look forward. And so each of these poses has a name. As we exhale, we arch our back, and we call this cat pose. As we inhale, we drop our belly and look forward into cow pose. So let's exhale into cat and inhale into cow. Let's do it one more time. Exhaling and arching. Inhaling, looking forward. All right, good job. Now push into your hands and come into a child's pose. We're going to stretch back and we're going to bring our hips right back towards our heels. Now, anytime I do something, if you start to get tired, this is the position I want you to come back into, a child's pose, and give yourself a little break, and then start again whenever you're ready. Okay, so let's start to go a little bit harder. So we're going to come up onto our hands and knees again. This time you're going to take your right leg back behind you, you're going to take your left hand forward, and we call this bird dog pose. You want to hold still. Try not to drop that arm and the leg. We hold it high. Take one more breath. And we bring it down. Okay, same thing on the other side. Left leg goes back. Right hand goes forward. We're looking at the ground and we're breathing. Try to hold still. You got it. All right, we bring it down. So that was pose number one, our bird dog. Now we're going to come into a downward dog. So you still have really wide hands. Tuck your toes. And now let's lift our hips right up to the ceiling. Okay? So we're going to try to create kind of like an upside down V or maybe a pyramid here. And so I want you to push into your hands. Oh, my ear is falling out. So not my ear, obviously, my headset. Push into your hands, push your hips to the ceiling, push your heels to the ground. And now we're going to take a few breaths here in what we call downward dog. You'll notice that my back is nice and flat. I'm not arching it like I did in a cat pose. My legs are straight, but they don't have to be. They can be bent a little bit if that's too much of a stretch for you. Let's just take one more breath. And then we're actually going to come on up to stand. So let's come up on our toes and walk our feet forward until they get in between the hands. And now come to a halfway lift. So you're going to take your hands, take them halfway up your legs. As you exhale, let's take our hands to the ground. And now we're going to ragdoll. Slowly bring yourself all the way up. Take your time and then come on up to stand nice and tall. All right, good job everybody. We're going to move into our next pose. Now this one here takes a lot of strength in our legs. We call this a warrior pose. And if you think about a warrior, warriors are strong. So I want you to be really strong in this. So come to the front of your mat if you have one, or just come forward. Take your right leg or other leg back. So we're going to take our leg back. So we're going to keep that leg straight, and you're going to bend your left knee or your front knee so that front knee is right on top of the ankle. Now I want you to open up your chest so your shoulders are over your hips, right? I'm not leaning forward. Shoulders are over hips. I look forward. And then I'm bringing my hands right up towards the ceiling so that my palms are looking at each other. Okay, so push the front foot into the mat, push your back foot into the mat, and again, this is a warrior pose. So you're nice and strong. I don't want to see anybody loosey-goosey, right? No floppy hands. Let's be really strong. So take a big inhale. And as you exhale, push your feet into the ground. Good. Now let's take those hands back to our heart, and then we're going to step forward. And we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So we're going to step that leg back. Make sure those toes, we're angling them forward a little bit. We're going to bend the other knee forward, shoulders over hips, hands to the ceiling. Again, here's our warrior. Our warrior is strong, and so we're pushing our hands up And we're pushing our feet down, and we feel really strong and solid in this one. And again, we're going to take a breath, big inhale. As you exhale, push the feet down, and you're strong. That's it. All right, take your hands down and step forward again. Perfect. Good job, everybody. Okay, you ready to move forward? Do a little bit harder. Now we're going to try to balance on one foot. So we call this one tree pose. So we're going to take our feet and we're going to push our feet into the ground. And I just want you to kind of rock forward and backward on those feet. So just kind of get a feel for the front of the foot and the back of the foot, rocking back and forth. And then I want you to stop in the middle when you feel your feet are nice and flat into the ground. And sometimes I do that. I spread my hands wide because I want my feet to be wide. The bigger my feet are, the easier it is for me to balance on them. So we're going to start with the left leg down, or whatever leg you want, and we're going to take the opposite leg and we're going to bring it up. So beginners, if you're not very good at balance or you're just trying this for the first time, we can do what we call a kickstand, like a kickstand on your bike. So you can have your toes on the ground and you can have your heel above the ankle and you can just stay like that, right? So we're still balancing on the one foot, but we're taking a little bit of weight off the other foot. A little bit more advanced, you can start to bring that foot up into the other leg, anywhere. So you can bring it to the calf, you could be really challenged, and you could bring that foot right up into that inner thigh, okay? So wherever you feel, I'm gonna come down and I'm gonna keep my foot low. So we're gonna take those hip bones, we're gonna point them forward, right? We're not gonna stick our bum out, we're gonna be neutral. You're gonna take your hands to your heart, and then you're gonna bring them right up to the ceiling, okay? And you're gonna hold still. So again, we're gonna try not to rock side to side. We're gonna try to hold still in our tree pose. That's it, you got it. Take a few more breaths. And then let's take the hands back down to the heart. We either put the foot straight down or you want to get a little more advanced knee forward. We kick it out and then we bring it down. All right. So remember, go at your own pace, whatever you're comfortable with. We've got the opposite foot on the ground. You can choose to kickstand. You could bring your foot up. You could bring your foot right up. That's for really advanced people who are very flexible and have some really good balance. Right? And this is kind of in the middle. Hands to your heart. We're going to bring those hands right up to the ceiling again. You're going to not let that hip stick out. We're going to bring the hips and then we're going to tuck our belly button right into our spine and we're going to try to really straight back. Hold and breathe. That's it. Let's hold still just a little bit longer if you can. All right, do you remember where we're going? We're bringing the hands down. You can put your foot right down if you need to, or you're gonna go more advanced and you're gonna kick it forward. Good work, everybody, that's great. Okay, so now we're gonna test some flexibility. We're gonna come into a wide-legged forward bend. So I've got somebody on my mat, I don't wanna step on him. So, and maybe I'm not gonna go as wide as I might. So I'm gonna, oh, he's gone. Okay, so I'm gonna take my feet so that they are pretty wide. Okay, so as wide as you're comfortable. We're not trying to do the splits, but nice and wide. And then I want you to inhale, bring your hands all the way up to the ceiling. Just let them float up. And then as you exhale, let's bring those hands down onto our hips. Good. Now as you inhale, let's look up to the ceiling. And as you exhale, we're gonna start to fold forward. Do you notice my back? I guess if I go sideways, you can see it. I'm trying to keep a really flat back, right? I'm not arching my back and bringing it like that. So to me, this looks like a turtle. I don't wanna be a turtle, I wanna be flat, all right? And so now you're gonna slowly fold forward. There should be a big stretch in the back of the legs. And then when you're ready, let's take those hands down to the ground. If you need to bend your knees, bend your knees. If you can put your hands flat, put them flat, whatever works. Again, we're just trying to stretch the back of the legs, and yoga should feel good. It shouldn't be painful. So if you feel pain, just ease up a little bit or do something different for a second. And again, let's breathe. Let's take a couple more breaths here. Let's take one more. Nice deep, slow breath. And now we're going to try to reverse this pose. So let's take our hands onto our hips, and then slowly with a nice straight spine, let's come all the way back to stand. Good job. All right. So can you hop your feet together? That's a choice. Good work. Okay. So now we're going to come sitting on the ground. We did lots of really active standing things. So hopefully your muscles are a little bit warm. But now we're going to come sitting on the ground, and we're going to do some things for our spine that should feel really good, right? So we stretched out those legs, we made them strong. So let's move our back a little bit. What I want you to do here is you're going to take one leg. So I've got my left leg here, and I'm going to bring it up and over my nice straight right leg. And just like those other poses, I'm going to give you some ideas of how to take this a little bit further or how to make it easier. So we're taking the foot over top of the leg. For those, and this might be enough, so stay there. If you're a little bit more flexible, we can actually bend that leg and then come to sit. But here's what I have to tell you. If your hip is up in the air when you bend this knee, then that's not the right thing for you to do. Only if you can get both hip bones on the ground should you bend this other leg. But if you find again that this hip is up in the air, then let's bring that other leg back straight again. Okay, so you choose, again, make sure it feels good for you. I'm going to hug the knee with the opposite hand, take the other hand behind my back. Now when I inhale, I'm going to get really tall in my back, and as I exhale, I'm going to rotate and I'm going to look behind me. Okay, so I'm pulling the knee close, I'm rotating, and I'm looking behind me. Nice, slow, deep breaths. That's it. Just take a couple more breaths. Remember those breaths? Remember they're supposed to relax you? I want these breaths to relax you. Good. Now come back to center. Look forward. We're going to bring this leg forward, and then we're going to bring the other one up and over. So I've got my right leg over my left straight leg here, but you do whichever side you haven't done yet. And then it's a choice. Are you going to bring that other leg back? And only if you can sit really deeply into your hips here. And if you can't, bring the leg back, okay? One's not better than another, it's just different. So we're going to hug the knee, and the other hand's behind your back. And so sorry, I'm going to look away from you for a second. You're going to inhale, lift up. And you're going to exhale, and you're going to rotate. Look behind you. Take some deep, slow breaths. Keep hugging the knee in and keep looking behind you. That's it. Again, breathe deeply. Inhaling, you get tall. Exhale, maybe you go a little bit deeper. Okay. Come back to center again. Good work, everybody. Almost done here. What I want you to do now is you're going to take your legs straight, your hands are on the ground, and we're going to do an ab exercise, okay? So here you're going to sit down nice and tight onto the ground, grab your knees, bend them, and then we're going to sit back. We call this boat pose. And by thinking of it like a boat, you're floating, right? And so we're going to try to float on our hips. So our hands are going to hold the knees. We're going to lean back. You're going to lift one leg and bring it down. Lift the other leg and bring it down, okay? If that's enough for you, just keep repeating, lifting one and then the other. If you think you can keep it up there, if you think you can bring the other one to meet it, then go for that. Let me scooch forward a little bit. And then, okay, so there's level 2, staying still, holding them. Now level 3, if you choose to, You release one hand. Maybe the other hand. You got it. And let's look at those feet and we breathe. We should feel our stomachs working hard for this. Good, take one more breath. Can you stay for one more breath? And now, feet down, good job. And we're gonna come into a pose now called butterfly pose. So butterfly pose has the soles of your feet looking at each other. Your hands come forward. You're gonna hold on to those feet. And then you're gonna inhale. Remember what we're doing with the inhales? We're getting long. And with the exhales, we relax into the pose. You get a little bit deeper. And so I feel a nice stretch here in the inner legs. Some of you might feel a little stretch in the back. And so again, only to a point you feel comfortable. Take an inhale and exhale, go down a little bit deeper. That's it, you guys. Take a few more breaths. I like to close my eyes sometimes when I do this. All right. And now slowly we come back up. We're going to come back to our cross-legged position. You're going to sit tall. And then I want you to inhale and bring your hands all the way up. Bring your palms together. And then bow your head. Bring your hands to your heart. And in yoga, we close things off with the word namaste. And namaste is just a sign of respect that I am acknowledging you, you are acknowledging me, for being wonderful people. So thank you for joining me today. Congratulations, everyone. You have completed the first challenge. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you have an amazing week.